Today on Questions Answered, we're going to be talking about gravel bikes versus mountain bikes. And the number one question is, what's the difference? So let's start with a mountain bike. Mountain bikes in general are designed for riding off-road, and they have specs and characteristics that make them handle way better off-road and on loose and rough terrain than bikes that aren't designed for off-road use. And some of those characteristics include wide, knobby tires for grip off-road, a more upright riding position for visibility and control, and often suspension. So that's a front fork that has travel to allow the wheels to maintain traction on rough terrain, and in a lot of cases, rear suspension as well, to do the same thing for the rear of the bike. If we compare that to a gravel bike takes some of those things and looks at them kind of from the lens of a road bike. So applying some of the things that make a road bike great on the road, which is thinner tires, drop handlebars, a more efficient riding position, and steeper angles for better handling on road, and applies those things to a mountain bike to make a bike that has some of the efficiency of a road bike, but some of the off-road capability of a mountain bike. So if you look at a gravel bike, it's kind of like a mini mountain bike with drop bars in a lot of ways. So you'll find knobby tires, but thinner than what you'd find on a mountain bike in most cases. Drop style handlebars, but wider than what you'd find on a road bike. Steeper geometry than what you'd find on a mountain bike for tighter handling and a little bit more lively feel. And a more forward and aggressive riding position for efficiency compared to what you find on a mountain bike, but not so aggressive as what you'd find on a road bike. The next question is, are there different types of mountain bikes? And the answer is yes. Now, there's different types of mountain bikes for each kind of terrain. And let's just start from the most extreme. Downhill mountain bikes are the most extreme kind of mountain bike. They have the most suspension travel. Often 200 millimeter suspension in the front and the back of the bike. Usually the most treaded aggressive tires for the most grip. And they're not really even designed with pedaling efficiency in mind because they are for descending. So in most cases, downhill mountain bikes' seat posts don't even go up to allow you to get proper reach to the pedals. They are purely for going downhill on the most intense terrain. Now, one notch down from that is enduro bikes that have slightly less travel and are designed for pedaling uphill, but are nearly as capable downhill as downhill bikes. Step down from that would be trail bikes, and they usually aim to balance descending ability with pedaling efficiency. So that's kind of a great all-around style bike if you have a lot of ups and downs and you still want to be able to pedal. Then there's downcountry bikes that have slightly less travel than trail bikes and more of a focus on pedaling efficiency. And then yet more efficient than that are cross-country race bikes. And those have the least amount of travel in the mountain bike world and usually offer steeper angles and a more aggressive riding position for efficiency on cross-country race courses. So pedaling efficiency is hugely important for cross-country race bikes, more so than descending ability. And that's kind of how you get completely from one end of the spectrum to the other in terms of mountain bikes. So downhill, lots of travel, big knobby tires, low pedaling efficiency, all the way to cross country. That is high pedaling efficiency, short travel, and somewhat less off-road ability, but still a lot more off-road ability compared to a road bike. The next question is, are there different types of gravel bikes? And the answer is yes, although the categories of gravel bikes are slightly less well-defined compared to the categories of mountain bikes. And it could just be because gravel bikes are still relatively new. But on the one end of the spectrum, you've got more racing-oriented gravel bikes that are closer to road bikes, so more efficient riding positions, faster rolling tires, and steeper angles for quick handling. And then on the other end of the spectrum, you've got more adventure and off-road capable focused gravel bikes. So those will have wider, knobbier tires, usually wider flared drop bars, and often they'll have suspension. Or they might incorporate some bikepacking capability, so more mounts and ability to carry gear. So overall, gravel bikes have a little bit of a narrower category compared to mountain bikes that span this whole different range of terrain capability. But gravel bikes do offer a pretty wide range of capability within their own right by being very efficient on the road while still offering a good level of off-road capability. The next question is, should I get a gravel bike or a mountain bike? And that comes down to what kind of riding do you want to do? If you want to do some road riding, but a little bit of off-road riding, maybe just do some exploration, keep your options open, but you really want to have some on-road efficiency to do higher mileage, then a gravel bike is my best recommendation, because the gravel bike is really great for being able to conquer a lot of miles comfortably if you're doing mixed terrain, on-road, off-road, gravel, because being able to move your hands around and be in a more efficient riding position allows you to do more miles with less effort. Compared to trying to do that on a mountain bike, where all that off-road capability sacrifices on-road efficiency. So you can ride a mountain bike on the road, it's just not fun. On the other hand, if you want to conquer more challenging terrain and challenge yourself to build your technical riding ability off-road, there's no better choice than a mountain bike. If you live somewhere where you have easy access to great mountain biking trails, or you want to just explore the woods, then a mountain bike is absolutely the best way to do that. But you can't expect a mountain bike to be the right choice for commuting or for doing longer rides on the road, because the trade-off of off-road capability is that it loses that efficiency. So it really won't be any fun to ride in those kinds of riding circumstances. When it comes down to it, there is no one perfect bike to do all these different kinds of riding. And a lot of people who get into off-road riding will have multiple mountain bikes because, each mountain bike has its own specific thing that it's really good at. So lots of riders will have an enduro bike and a trail bike, or like a cross-country bike and a downhill bike for different kinds of riding circumstances. So similarly, a lot of riders out there might find that they want to have a mountain bike for those dedicated off-road days, and they want to have a gravel bike for the days where they want to be on the road or be on smoother terrain where they can conquer more miles. The next question is, which is the better choice for bike packing? And I really like this question because it's a hard question. And it really comes down to what kind of route we're talking about. And what kind of preference you have for the riding style that you want to do. If you want to go out into the unknown and conquer a really tough trail, like let's say the Colorado Trail or the Arizona Trail, rugged, rough terrain, you probably want to have a mountain bike for that. And that's just because that amount of suspension allows you to stay in control and allows you to actually roll over that terrain with comfort and safety. Really rugged trails like that on a rigid drop bar bike would be very challenging, and I think you might find that you'd walk a lot of sections of the trail. On the other hand, if you want to do the kind of bike packing that people do, let's say on RAGBRAI, where it's high mileage, relatively smooth terrain, or trails like the Erie Canal Trail or the DNL Canal Trail here on the East Coast, then having the efficiency of a gravel bike is much preferable compared to the capability that you get with a mountain bike. So in that case, a gravel bike's going to be the better choice. One other thing to keep in mind is that not every gravel bike or mountain bike was made with bike packing in mind. So bikes that have complex suspension designs or very light carbon frames, let's say, might be much more challenging to mount gear on to take on expeditions. So that's why at Priority Bicycles, we've made a few bikes here that have great off-road capability as well as the ability to carry a lot of gear. So if you look at our Gemini on the gravel end of things, the bike uses a pinion gearbox for really great climbing ability and gear range, low maintenance belt drive system, and the ability to mount gear in various ways on the bike. So it's an awesome choice for touring, bike packing, general gravel riding, or on and off-road riding. Also within our gravel bike range, we have the Priority Apollo, and that has really great low maintenance benefits with a belt drive system and internally geared hub, offers a drop bar riding position for fast and efficient riding on a variety of terrain. And it's a bike you can load up for the daily commute or even some off-road touring. If I were to compare the Apollo to the Gemini, the Apollo's a little bit more road focused, the gearing's a bit higher, comes with faster rolling tires, and a slightly more forward riding position for speed and efficiency. The Gemini, on the other hand, offers more off-road capability with a wider gear range, a little bit more rugged component set, and more mounting points. So it's a better choice for riding off-road and for doing longer, more challenging touring. Similarly, on the mountain bike end of things, at Priority Bicycles, we make the 600 ADX, which is a dedicated bikepacking bike that really has cross-country inspired geometry and a lot of cross-country components. So it's still a pretty fun mountain bike to ride, but it's a bike that was designed to handle gear and handle the rugged terrain that you might come across on just about any bikepacking expedition. So also has a wide gear range from its pinion gearbox, low maintenance belt drive system, a suspension fork and wider knobby tires that allows it to be comfortable on a variety of terrain and carry a variety of gear. In addition to the ADX, Priority offers the Bruiser, which is a fully rigid bikepacking bike. So it doesn't have quite the same level of off-road capability compared to the ADX, but it has a little bit more efficiency and more bikepacking capability with mounting points on the fork. In some ways, you could say that the Bruiser is in between a mountain bike and a gravel bike with a rigid fork, fast rolling but knobby tires, and flat style handlebars. It's really a bikepacking bike. And also, at Priority Bicycles, we make a trail hardtail called the HXT that has some of this bikepacking capability. It allows you to mount a rear rack and some other gear on the bike, but has wider, more aggressive tires compared to the ADX and a longer travel suspension fork. So it's a very capable mountain bike in its own right. As you're shopping for a new bike, it's important to go through the pros and cons of each bike style for what kind of riding you want to do. So if you have any questions about which Priority would be the best choice for the kind of riding you're looking to do in the future, please reach out. We're happy to help. If you have any other questions about gravel versus mountain bikes or anything else, post it in the comments and we'll address it in a future video. Thanks for watching.